Yes, it's time for a bit of the old red and black. And that means it's a Mammoet model. Here it is, and we start with the world's longest model name. It's the Kenworth W990 tri-axle day cab and Fontaine magnitude tri-axle lowboy trailer with flip axle. Phew, and it's in 1:64 scale. It's a windowed box, and if we flip it around we find some narrative on the back. And this tells you something about the Mammoet company, and it's a bit of a marketing piece. If we look underneath, we find the box is the wrong way round, but with a bit of wrist action we get it the right way up, and we see that this is a first gear model. And the first gear model number is 691869.
Let's weigh it up.
Straight onto the weighbridge, and it comes in at about 1 pound 2 ounces, which is bang on 500 grams. And now we come to the time where we open the box and see what's inside. And it's no surprise because we could already see that the model was packed in some plastic formers. But wait, there's more. There's also a plastic bag, and it contains some instructions. And we'll see those in a moment. But wait, there's more. There's also a bag containing a Mammoet collector card. With the paperwork out, we need to cut the tapes so we can separate the formers, and then we can get out the models, and that includes the tractor unit and also the lowboy. But wait, there's more. There's also a flip axle and also a bag of parts. The trailer also has some shrink wrapping to protect it, and that's probably mainly for the fold-out extension brackets. Onto the paperwork, and there's a simple instruction sheet which tells you how to connect the gooseneck and a bit about the fold-out brackets. The numbered Mammoet collector card tells us that 1500 models have been made. The instructions don't cover the addition of the flip axle, but it's easy enough. You just need to more or less position it into place, and then there are a couple of steel pins to insert. And they go in one on each side. The fit is decent, so they stay in, and then we can just flip the axle over. Next we can attach the trailer to the Kenworth, and that's a simple drop-in pin to the fifth wheel. One nice touch is that the parts bag contains some spare parts, and that includes fold-out brackets for the deck edge and also spare mirrors for the Kenworth.
Let's weigh it up again.
The whole truck somehow finds its way onto the weighbridge, and it's just over 10 ounces, which is 290 grams. Starting underneath the Kenworth, there are some big screw heads which are quite visible, but the engine is a different colour, and there's first gear branding under one of the fuel tanks. The drive shaft is indicated, but it's not continuous, and there are decent looking tyres on the wheels. Looking at the front of the Kenworth, there's an excellent radiator grille. The lights are very good, and there's a nice big chrome fender, and it's got a tiny license plate graphic. Moving on to the top of the cab, and the roof has painted beacon lights, and there are also air horns and other lights. There's a chrome exhaust stack on one side of the cab, and textured steps lead up. A very nice aspect of the model are sharp graphics, and that also includes a fleet number on the front of the hood. The chrome wheels also look decent. There are coiled lines behind the cab, although they do look thick in this scale, and there's also a full set of chains, although again they look a little bit big in this scale. Looking at the back, you can see there's a partial wheel arch, and there's also a helper axle. The fifth wheel looks like it sits a little bit high, but there's a nice textured walking surface in front of it. At the back there's some painted detail, with Mammoet on the mud flaps. Perhaps the most detailed part of the model is the gooseneck, and it's got some modelled equipment sitting in the top. But the highlight are the many small graphics, and they are to a very high standard and very sharp and detailed. Along the deck edges are multiple folder out extenders, and these and the timber deck are plastic. At the back there are more small graphics to add detail, and there are nice looking wheels. There are also painted lights and a license plate. Back underneath the Kenworth, and the wheels spin freely enough. There's no proper suspension, but there's some latitude in the axles. And at the front there's some notched steering. With that, let's go out onto the test track and see how it rolls. And it's not particularly free rolling because of friction. But let's have a check on the steering and see how we get on. And it will steer to a reasonable angle. There is a helper axle, but it is fixed in position and can't be lowered. Another feature on the Kenworth is the opening hood, and that lets you see the engine, which is very good because it's got multiple coloured components. The fifth wheel is a standard kind of part, and it has some pivoting action. And moving to the trailer, you can disconnect the gooseneck in order to load the trailer. At the back, the flip axle can just fold down, but it can't be locked in a down position. Also included with the model are a set of loading straps. They're a fixed length and they just clip it into the edges of the deck. So if you have a suitable load, you can secure it. Well, the model deserves a load, and what could be better than a giant Cranes etc. boss? He fits nicely onto the loading deck, so we will strap him in. He's also a heavy kind of dude, so we'll put down the flip axle. Also included with the model are 4 small flags, so we might as well stick one of the flags onto the thumbs up. The model also comes with another optional addition, and that is signs that you can stick on front and back. It's interesting to see a Mammoet model in the scale of 1 to 64. First Gear has produced a nice looking model, and a strong point is the multiple small graphics which add detail. There's also some usable functionality. This model will particularly please American collectors, and all things considered, there's enough to rate this model as very good.